And recent polling finds many Americans do not want a rematch between President Biden and the former president, Mr. Trump. And that's raising questions over whether a third-party bid could actually be viable next year in next year's election. The centrist group No Labels reportedly registering 15,000 new voters in Arizona, a state that Mr. Biden won by just 10,000 votes in 2020. And while No Labels won't decide on whether to back a presidential candidate until after Super Tuesday, Democratic-linked groups are already looking to derail their effort. Sources telling Politico, quote, a powerful network of liberal donors is joining the push to stop No Labels, warning major political funders to stay away from the group. Let's bring in Scott Bolden, former D.C. Democratic Party chair, and Rina Shah, the Republican strategist that we all know and love here on Morning in America. Scott, I do want to start with you. Do you think pressure from these Democratic groups like Third Way and Move On will force No Labels or its donors to back down, or to even let us know who these donors are?
Well, that remains to be seen. I think this is protection, if you will, for what might have been. My sources at No Label says this is they're enjoying the spotlight, they're enjoying this discussion, but in the end, the only thing that matters is, do they put a candidate on or not? If it's a Republican, they're going to pull from the Republican ticket. If it's a Democrat, they're going to pull from the Democratic ticket. And historically, whether it's No Labels or third-party candidate, they've done nothing but be a spoiler, whether it's Ross Perot and others. And so this is interesting. There's unreadiness in regard to both candidates. But in the end, voters are programmed to vote for a Democrat or Republican. And if Joe Biden is on or if Trump is on that ticket, Republicans are going to vote for Trump and the Democrats are going to vote for Biden. And all that matters is that who gets one more vote than the next. I don't think a third-party candidacy, no matter what the unreadiness is going to be a real factor in 2024.
Rina, most talk of it being a spoiler has come from Democrats. Is it too early to assume that Democrats would be the ones harmed in a third-party bid when we're seeing a contentious GOP primary where many voters of the candidates who lose may be tempted to look at a third party?
Well, when you hear the folks from No Labels speak, particularly beloved folks like former Governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, they talk about supporting centrism and bipartisanship. That on its face sounds really great to people like me who don't want to see Donald Trump take the White House again. But I'm also sitting in a moment where a great many of my peers and I criticize President Biden and feel that he doesn't deserve to win the White House again. So you've got high levels of dissatisfaction with the current occupant, the immediate former occupant. What do? You think about a third-party option. But in modern times, we've seen that that's just not viable. No Labels is trying to say, hey, it's a real possibility this time because you guys don't want a Biden-Trump rematch. But then again, they haven't gone as far as to say this is who we'd tap, and this is how we'd really get there. But looking at their strategy so far, it's really important to recognize one thing, and I'm really speaking to the folks who are in the center here, and there are a great many Americans who are. This is an anti-democratic effort, and I'm not talking Democratic Party, I'm talking anti-democracy, because what No Labels strategy would do, very plain and simple, is that they would siphon votes from Joe Biden and give the White House back to Trump. That's really important to recognize. They don't have a very clear path to victory. Their path relies on taking votes in certain places, and it's really, to me, nonsensical, but also nonsensical to numerous groups who polled and seen their strategy. It just doesn't add up.
And not adding up also, Scott, Rina just touched on that. No Labels chief strategist says Democrats are being hypocritical by trying to stop No Labels from getting on ballots. Is that type of a move really pro-democracy?
You know, I don't have a problem with No Labels thinking about fielding a third candidate. I have more problems with the results of it. But here's why No Labels, they'll never get to field a candidate if they are committed to not being a spoiler. The majority of the Democratic Party, the majority of the Republican Party are moderates. They're centrists, actually. The far left and the far right are what you hear about and what the media covers, but most Americans are centrists. They want Congress to work. They want the president to work with Congress, and they want to get things done, and that means compromise. So these parties, why would they leave their parties and go for a third label simply because they don't like the candidate when most of them are moderates? If that's the case, then No Labels is only going to be a spoiler. If they're committed to what they say, they don't want to be a spoiler, then they're not going to field a candidate. Even if they get on the ballot in 50 different states, after Super Tuesday, it's going to be too late for them to be anything but a spoiler.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.